Oliver walked 20 miles that day, and all that time tasted nothing but the crust of dry bread and a few draughts of water, which he begged at the cottage doors by the roadside. When night came, he turned into a meadow, and creeping close under a hayrick, determined to lie there till morning. Each day was the same. If it had not been for good-hearted turnpike man and a benevolent old lady, Oliver's troubles would have been shortened by the very same process which had put an end to his mother's. In other words, he would most assuredly have fallen dead upon the King's highway. Early on the 7th morning, after he had left his native place, Oliver limped slowly into the little town of Barnet. He had been crouching on a doorstep for some time, wondering at the great number of public houses. Every other house in Barnet was a tavern, large or small, when he was roused by observing that a boy, who had passed him carelessly some minutes before, had returned, and was now surveying him most earnestly from the opposite side of the way. The boy crossed over, and walking close up to Oliver, said,
"Hello, me covey. What's the row?"
"I'm very hungry and tired. I've walked a long way. I've been walking these 7 days.
Walking for 7 days? Oh, I see. Beak's order, eh? I suppose you don't know what a beak is, me flash companion.
Oh, yes, I do. A beak is the name for a bird's mouth.
My eyes so green. Why? A beak's a magistrate. And when you walk by a beak's order, it's not straightforward, but always a going up and never a coming down again. Was you never on the mill?
What mill?
What mill? Why, the mill. The mill as takes up so little room that it'll work inside a stone jug, and always goes better when the wind's low with people than when it's high, because they can't get workmen. But come, you want grub, and you shall have it. I'm at low water mark myself, only 1 bob and a magpie. But as far as it goes, I'll fork out and stump. Up with you on your pins. There, now then, Maurice."
Assisting Oliver to rise, the young gentleman took him to an adjacent chandler's shop, where he purchased a sufficiency of ready-dressed ham and a half-quartern loaf, and then into a small public-house, where a pot of beer was brought in. Oliver, falling to at his new friend's bidding, made a long and hearty meal, during the progress of which the strange boy eyed him from time to time with great attention.
"Going to London?
Yes.
Got any lodgings?
No.
Money?"
No. Do you live in London?
"Yes, I do, when I'm at home. I suppose you want some place to sleep in tonight, don't you?"
I do indeed. I've not slept under a roof since I left the country.
"Don't fret your eyelids on that score. I've got to be in London tonight, and I know a spectable old gentleman that lives there what'll give you lodgings for nothing and never ask for the change. That is, if any gentleman he knows introduces you. And don't he know me? Oh no, not in the least. By no means, certainly not. My name is Jack Dawkins, but better known by me intimate acquaintances as the Artful Dodger."
Oliver Twist.
As Jack Dawkins objected to their entering London before nightfall, it was nearly 11 o'clock when they reached the turnpike at Islington. They crossed from the Angel into St. John's Road, struck down the small street which terminates at Sadler's Wells Theatre, through Exmouth Street and Coppice Row, down the little court by the side of the workhouse, across the classic ground which once bore the name of Hockley in the Hole, thence into Little Saffron Hill, and so into Saffron Hill the Great, along which the Dodger scudded at a rapid pace, directing Oliver to follow close at his heels. Pushing open the door of a house in Field Lane and drawing Oliver in.
"Plummy and slam. It's the signal that everything is all right."
"There's 2 on ya. Who's t'other one?"
"A new pal.
"Where did he come from?"
Greenland. Is Fagin upstairs?"
"Yeah, he's sorting the wipes. Up with ya."
Oliver, groping his way with one hand, and having the other firmly grasped by his companion, ascended with much difficulty the dark and broken stairs. The Dodger threw open the door of a back room and drew Oliver in after him. The walls and ceiling of the room were perfectly black with age and dirt. In a frying pan, which was on the fire, some sausages were cooking, and standing over them, with a toasting fork in his hand, was a very old, shrivelled Jew, whose villainous-looking and repulsive face was obscured by a quantity of matted red hair. Seated round the table were 4 or 5 boys, none older than the Dodger, smoking long clay pipes and drinking spirits with the air of middle-aged men. These all crowded about their associate as he whispered a few words to the Jew, and then turned round and grinned at Oliver.
This is him, Fagin. My friend Oliver Twist.
We are very glad to see you, Oliver. Very. Dodger, take off the sausages and draw a tub near the fire for Oliver. Ah, you're staring at the pocket handkerchief, eh, my dear? Ah, there are a good many of 'em, ain't there? We just looked 'em out, ready for the wash. That's all, Oliver. That's all.
Oliver ate his share, and the Jew then mixed him a glass of hot gin and water, telling him he must drink it off directly, because other gentlemen wanted a tumbler. Oliver did as he was desired. Immediately afterwards he felt himself gently lifted onto one of the sacks, and there he sunk into a deep sleep. It was late next morning when Oliver awoke from a long, sound sleep. Although Oliver had roused himself from his sleep, he was not thoroughly awake. He saw the Jew, with his half-closed eyes, draw forth, as it seemed to Oliver from some trap in the floor, a small box, which he placed carefully on the table. His eyes glistened as he raised the lid and looked in. Dragging an old chair to the table, he sat down and took from it a magnificent gold watch, sparkling with jewels.
Clever dogs, clever dogs. Staunch to the last. Never told the old parson where they were. Never poached upon old Fagin. And why should they? It wouldn't have loosened the knot or kept the drop up a minute longer. No. Fine fellows. What a fine thing capital punishment is. Dead men never repent. Dead men never bring awkward stories to light. Oh, it's a fine thing for the trade. 5 of 'em strung up in a row, and none of them left to play booty or turn white-livered.
As the Jew uttered these words, his bright dark eyes, which had been staring vacantly before him, fell on Oliver's face. The boy's eyes were fixed on his in mute curiosity, and although the recognition was only for an instant, for the briefest space of time that can be possibly conceived, it was enough to show the old man that he had been observed. He closed the lid of the box with a loud crash, and laying his hand on a bread knife, which was on the table, started furiously up. He trembled very much, though, for even in his terror Oliver could see that the knife quivered in the air.
What's that? What do you watch me for? And why are you awake? What have you seen, boy? Speak out. Quick, all for your life.
I wasn't able to sleep any longer, sir. I am very sorry if I've disturbed you, sir.
You were not awake an hour ago.
No, indeed.
Are you sure?
Upon my word, I was not, sir. I was not.
Tush, my dear. Of course I know that. My dear, I only tried to frighten you. You're a brave boy. Oh, yes, you're a brave boy, Oliver. Did you see any of these pretty things, my dear?
Yes, sir.
Well, they're mine, Oliver, my little property, and all I have to live upon in my old age. The folks call me a miser, my dear, only a miser, that's all.
He had scarcely washed himself when the Dodger returned, accompanied by a very sprightly young friend, whom Oliver had seen smoking on the previous night, and who was now formally introduced to him as Charlie Bates. The four sat down to breakfast of coffee and some hot rolls and ham, which the Dodger had brought home in the crown of his hat.
Well, I hope you've been at work this morning, my dears.
Hard.
As nails.
Good boys, good boys. And what have you got, Dodger?
A couple of pocketbooks.
Lined?
Pretty well. One green and the other red.
Not so heavy as they might be, but very neat and nicely made. Ingenious workman, ain't he, Oliver?
Very indeed, sir.
And what have you got, my dear?
Wipes.
Well, they're very good ones, very. You haven't marked them well, though, Charlie. So the marks shall be picked out with a needle, and we'll teach Oliver how to do it. Shall us, Oliver, eh?
If you please, sir.
Oh, you'd like to be able to make pocket handkerchiefs as easy as Charlie Bates, wouldn't you, my dear?
Very much indeed. If you'll teach me, sir.
Master Bates saw something so exquisitely ludicrous in his reply that he burst into another laugh. The old gentleman, observing Oliver's colour mounting, changed the subject by asking whether there had been much of a crowd at the execution that morning. This made Oliver wonder more and more, for it was plain from the replies of the two boys that they had both been there, and Oliver naturally wondered how they could possibly have found time to be so very industrious. At length, Charlie Bates expressed his opinion that it was time to pad the hoof. This, it occurred to Oliver, must be French for going out, for directly afterwards the Dodger and Charlie went away together, having been kindly furnished by the amiable old Jew with money to spend.
There, my dear, that's a pleasant life, isn't it? They have gone out for the day.
Have they done work, sir?
Yes, that is, unless they should unexpectedly come across any when they are out, and they won't neglect it if they do, my dear, depend on it. Make 'em your models, my dear. Make 'em your models, do everything they bid you, and take their advice in all matters, especially the Dodger's, my dear. He'll be a great man himself, and will make you one too, if you take pattern by him. Is my handkerchief hanging out of my pocket, my dear?
Yes, sir.
Ah, well, see if you can take it out without my feeling it, as you saw them Charlie and the Dodger do when we was playing at it this morning. Is it gone?
Here it is, sir.
You're a clever boy, my dear. I never saw a sharper lad. Here's a shilling for you. Now, if you go on in this way, you'll be the greatest man of the time. And now, come here, and I'll show you how to take the marks out of the handkerchiefs.
Oliver wondered what picking the old gentleman's pocket in play had to do with his chances of being a great man. But, thinking that the Jew, being so much his senior, must know best, he followed him quietly to the table and was soon deeply involved in his new study.